Then if you notice number 3, in step number 3, Moses says, watch carefully. Watch carefully. He says you're going to see the salvation of the Lord if you'll watch carefully. One of the problems with us being so busy and so intent on fixing the problem, so drawn into thinking that we have all the answers, is that we miss what God is doing. And sometimes even because we're busy fretting or working, trying to fix things, we're blinded to the fact that God is doing things behind the scenes. And while it's behind the scenes, obviously we wouldn't see it, but we would know it because we have the truth of that in our heart. Again, we have the Word of God. It tells us these things, and we need to follow those directions, and we need to cling to those truths, especially in times where it seems like we're facing an impossible situation, or it seems like there is no way out, like it did for the children of Israel. I mean, they thought this is the end. There's no way out. But the truth is, there was a way out. There was a way out. And what they needed to do was 1, stop worrying. 2, be still. And 3, they needed to watch what God was doing. There are 3 different ways that we can be distracted and get our eyes off of what God's doing. And one of those is we're looking behind at the way things used to be, or the way we think things used to be. The children of Israel were telling Moses, it would have been better for us to just stay in Egypt. They were slaves in Egypt. They were mistreated in Egypt. They were basically run ragged and run to death in Egypt. But now they're facing this situation, this hardship, and they're like, we want to go back there. Things were better. And this is not the only time the children of Israel do this. All through the wilderness wanderings, we find them complaining about, well, back in Egypt we had this, and back in Egypt we had that, and back in Egypt it wasn't so bad. And we have a way of kind of looking at our past sometimes through rose-colored glasses and thinking we had it so much better because we didn't have this problem, but somehow we forget the problems that we did have back then. I don't know what it is, but we can look at our past and say, well, things were better back then. And we look at that and say, I want to go back. Well, we can't go back. That's just not possible. And then we can look to the future and we'll think of we had the if-onlys in the past, but now we have the what-ifs in the future. What if we get across this sea? What are we going to face next? What if this happens? What if I lose my job? What if, some sickness comes to our family? What if? And we start fretting about the what-ifs, and we're not focusing on the present and what God's doing in the here and now. And that's so very, very important to not be so caught up in the future. And again, that's one that I fall prey to because I'm one of those people, the Boy Scout motto of be prepared. I take that to a whole new level. I am one of those people. I am a planner. I am a list builder. I like to be prepared for things. So I tend to overdo and overthink and overanalyze everything. And sometimes I get so busy planning for the future, whether it be the coming week or the next day or the coming months even, trying to plan for ministry things and for writing which books are being published when. And there's a lot of things you do have to plan and a lot of things you do have to keep up with. But we can get so consumed with planning and trying to figure out the future that in the process, we lose sight of the here and now, what God's doing. And then the third way I see that we get distracted and get our eyes off of God is when we start looking at other people and what they're doing. And this is a very, very common trap these days, especially with all of social media. I mean, people are posting what they eat. They're posting what they wear, what they buy, what they're reading, what they're watching, posting this, that, and everything on social media, and we're taking it in, just one scroll after another scroll, and, sitting for hours at a time watching other people live their lives when we should be living ours. And a lot of times we end up getting to where we feel sorry for ourselves because, this person has this and this person has that. And I don't have any of these things, and poor pitiful me. And we lose sight of what we have and what God has done in and through us. So Moses said, stop looking around. Don't look at the enemy behind you. Don't look at the sea in front of you. Don't look at the past. Don't look at the future. And don't look around at each other and say, well, he's got it better than I do, or she's got it better than I do, or man, I wish I had that. Moses said, watch what God is doing. See the salvation of the Lord. Psalm 16, verses 8 and 9 says, I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved. Therefore my heart is glad, and my glory rejoiceth. My flesh also shall rest in hope. The Lord should always be before us. That's what we should be looking at. We should be watching. Even when God's working behind the scenes and we can't see what he's doing, we can see who he is through his word, through his spirit in our hearts, and through the things that we've seen him do in our lives.